Hold on to your toques, folks, because things are about to get interesting in the Great White North. Canada, our friendly neighbor to the north, is in a bit of a pickle with the United States of America. Remember that whole special relationship thing? The one where Canada and the US are supposed to be best buds? Yeah, about that. It seems someone forgot to tell the Trade Department. You see, Canada's been eyeing these fancy F-35 fighter jets for a while now. Shiny, expensive, top of the line, the whole 9 yards. These jets are the epitome of modern military technology. They even signed a deal back in the day, a cool $13.2 billion worth of deal to be precise. But then, our pal Trump sauntered in with his tariffs and suddenly the mood shifted faster than a moose on roller skates. Turns out, slapping tariffs on Canadian steel, aluminum and pretty much anything that wasn't nailed down didn't sit too well with the Canadians, go figure, right? It's almost like they have this whole national sovereignty thing they're rather fond of. So now, Canada's left scratching its collective head, wondering if maybe, just maybe, there's a better way to spend all that loony dough. And by better, I mean on fighter jets from people who aren't actively trying to wage economic warfare on them. Crazy, I know. Maybe it's time for Canada to look at other options, perhaps European or even homegrown alternatives. After all, why stick with a partner who keeps moving the goalposts? Canada has a rich history of innovation and a burgeoning aerospace industry. Investing locally could not only save money but also boost the national economy. Plus, it would ensure that the Canadian military gets exactly what it needs without the political baggage. So, as the debate rages on, one thing's for sure. The Great White North is at a crossroads, and the decision they make will echo for years to come. Let's be clear, folks, these tariffs aren't just some minor inconvenience. They're a big deal, affecting not just the economy but the very fabric of our trade relationships. They're like that annoying house guest who eats all your snacks. The one who never seems to understand boundaries or respect your space, leaves their wet towels on the floor, creating a mess that you have to clean up, and then has the audacity to ask for a loan. It's frustrating, to say the least. We're talking about real economic pain here. Small businesses are struggling and families are feeling the pinch. Canadian industries, from steel and aluminum to forestry and dairy, are feeling the pinch. Jobs are at risk and livelihoods are on the line. The economy is taking a hit, businesses are closing, and the stock market is reacting negatively. And all because someone decided to play a game of trade war chicken with their biggest trading partner. Genius. It's like watching a high-stakes poker game where everyone loses. Now enter Prime Minister Mark Carney, a man who looks like he could give a stern talking to a grizzly bear and live to tell the tale. He's not one to be easily intimidated. Carney's not one to back down from a fight, especially when it comes to defending his country's interests. He's ready to stand his ground. "We did not seek this confrontation," he declared, in a tone that suggested he wouldn't mind a bit of a confrontation if it came down to it. His resolve is clear. "But we will not compromise our national sovereignty." Meek drop. This is about more than just economics. It's about standing up for what we believe in. So, with the F-35 deal hanging in the balance, Canada's started casting its net a little wider. And who better to turn to in times of transatlantic trade spats than those fine folks across the pond? Europe, with its charming accents, delicious pastries, and, oh yeah, fighter jets. Suddenly those Saab Gripens from Sweden and Eurofighter Typhoons from, well, the Eurofighter Consortium are looking mighty appealing. It's like that moment you realize your local bakery makes a mean croissant that rivals anything you'd find in Paris. Of course, switching horses midstream, or midair as it were, isn't without its challenges. But hey, desperate times call for desperate measures. And besides, a little competition never hurt anyone, right, Lockheed Martin? Now, I'm no military strategist, but even I can see that having a mixed fleet of fighter jets is a bit like trying to assemble a piece of IKEA furniture after a bottle of wine. It's doable, but it might require more patience and swearing than you're used to. Think about it. Different planes, different parts, different training manuals, different everything. It's a logistical nightmare waiting to happen. And let's not forget the cost. Because nothing says fiscally responsible like having to maintain 2 separate supply chains for your Air Force. But hey, maybe Canada's onto something here. Maybe, just maybe, this is the start of a beautiful, multinational, multi-jet future. A future where countries can stick it to the man and diversify their defense portfolios all at the same time. Who knows, maybe it'll even catch on. Shifting alliances. Canada charts a new course in defense. This whole F-35 debacle is about more than just fighter jets, folks. It's about Canada flexing its geopolitical muscles and sending a clear message. we're not afraid to stand up for ourselves even if it means ruffling a few feathers. Or should I say ruffling a few eagle feathers? By exploring new defense partnerships with Europe, Canada's signaling a potential shift in its strategic alliances. It's like that moment when you realize your best friend isn't the same person you met on the playground back in kindergarten. People change, alliances evolve, and sometimes you just gotta move on. This could have major implications for the transatlantic balance of power. Will other countries follow suit and start looking for alternatives to American-made weapons systems? Will this lead to a more fragmented and less predictable global security landscape? Only time will tell. The people's voice, public opinion, and economic realities. Here's the thing about Canadians. They're a polite bunch. They're known for their friendly demeanor and their ability to engage in civil discourse, even when they disagree. Seriously, if passive aggression was an Olympic sport, they'd win gold every time. Their subtle expressions and humorous ways of showing disagreement are almost an art form. But even Canadians have their limits. When pushed too far, their frustration becomes evident. They may be polite, but they are not pushovers. And let's just say, Trump's trade policies haven't exactly been winning him any popularity contests up north. The reaction has been strong and vocal. From the factories of Ontario to the streets of Montreal, Canadians are feeling the squeeze. The economic impact is being felt across the country, affecting everyday lives, and they're not afraid to let their government know about it. Protests, town hall meetings, and political rallies are becoming more common as people voice their concerns. Public opinion polls show overwhelming support for a firmer stance against the U.S. Canadians are united in their desire for a stronger response. Even those who might have been hesitant to rock the boat before are starting to question the wisdom of hitching their wagon to a runaway trade war. The discussions are becoming more intense and widespread. The economic realities are sinking in, folks. News reports and economic indicators are painting a clear picture of the challenges ahead. And the message is clear. Canada's not going to be anyone's economic punching bag, even if that someone happens to be their biggest trading partner. The resilience and determination of Canadians are shining through. A high-stakes gamble. The potential fallout of withdrawal. Let's be real, folks, withdrawing from the F-35 program is a gamble. It's a high-stakes game of poker, and Canada's holding a pair of kings. A strong hand, to be sure, but not unbeatable. On the one hand, walking away could trigger a diplomatic earthquake. The U.S. defense industry, not known for its forgiving nature, will be fuming. There could be retaliatory measures, political posturing, and enough finger-pointing to make a kindergarten teacher weep. But on the other hand, this could be Canada's chance to break free from its reliance on American military hardware. It could jumpstart their own domestic defense industry, create jobs, and give them more control over their own security. It's a classic case of damned if you do, damned if you don't. One thing's for sure. It's going to be interesting to watch how it all plays out. An uncertain future, Canada-U.S. relations at a crossroads. So, what does the future hold for the Canada-U.S. special relationship? Well, if I had a crystal ball, I'd be doing this show from my private island in the Caribbean. But alas, I'm stuck here with you lovely people. One thing's for sure, things are about to get a whole lot more complicated. The F-35 issue is just the tip of the iceberg. There are deeper, more systemic issues at play here: trade, security, and the very nature of the relationship itself. Will Canada and the US be able to patch things up and go back to being the best of frenemies? Or are we witnessing the beginning of a new era, one where Canada charts its own course in the world, with or without its southern neighbor by its side? Stay tuned, folks, because this show's just getting started.